Hello everyone, today we are here to learn how to build the Hurricane model rocket. This is the Hurricane model rocket kit. You can buy it right off of our website. I've given the link in the description below. And for all those who've already got your kit, let's get started. The first step is opening the kit, laying out all the materials and seeing what all we've got. So I'm going to start off with that. I'm going to open up this cap. So the first thing that we can see is the nose cone. I'm going to take out all the components one by one and lay them up onto the table. So the string that I'm untying, this is called the lasso string. Do not cut this. This is something that you will need to use. So you have to open it up. Do not cut it off. This is not just a part of the packaging. This is a component. These are your fins. These are very fragile components. That's why we've packed them into a lot of foam. Do be very careful with them. Open them up carefully. I'm taking a paper cutter and cutting the foam off. We've given you one in the packaging. So yeah, now let's go through all the things one by one. First up, you have a letter from Rocketeers talking about the kit, talking about what all is in there, talking a little bit about Rocketeers and what kind of opportunities we have. We've also given you a lot of QR codes that take you to interesting places online, some interesting videos, our website and so on. Next up, we have all the components that you will need to build your Hurricane model rocket. So this is all the components for one rocket. First up, we have a sticker. This sticker goes onto the body of the rocket. This will also decide how your rocket looks and the kind of vibe that it will give. Next, we have 4 of these fins. So these are made out of balsa wood. They are laser cut. They provide aerodynamic stability to the rocket. So you have got 4 of these. Next up, we have this. This is your nose cone. This is an HDPE nose cone. It's blow molded. Next up, we have these. These are block rings. We got 2 of them here. These are made out of PVC foam. Basically, the purpose of block rings is to ensure that your fuel cartridge stays inside the model rocket and it's stuck in place. It cannot escape the rocket when it's giving thrust. They block the fuel cartridge inside the rocket, and that is why they are called block rings. Next up, we have 4 of these. So these are called centering rings. They are also made out of the same material as the block rings. As you can see, there are fairly different sizes. So this is a centering ring, this is a block ring. Centering ring, block ring. So we've got 4 centering rings, 4 of them. Then we have one of these. This is called the motor housing because this is the place where your motor is housed. The motor is the fuel cartridge. And next up we have this. This is the body tube of the rocket. Both the motor housing and the outer body of your model rocket, they are made out of sack kraft paper. So these are the 2 components that are there. And finally, last but not the least, we have your igniter and your fuel cartridge or your motor. So this is a Rocketeers C-class black powder model rocketry motor. This is an electric match that we use as the igniter. So these are the final 2 components that will help you fly your rocket. We know that sometimes some components break, something gets damaged, and also you might want to fly your model rocket again and again. The Hurricane is capable of carrying a parachute if you can build one. It's not included in this kit, but yeah, it's capable of doing that, and enthusiasts may want to use their rocket again and again. Because of that, we've given a bunch of extra components as well. First up, we have a motor housing which is the same as this one, the one that we saw earlier. This is the same motor housing. This is extra. Then apart from that, we have 2 of these. These, as you can see, are a little smaller than this one. So So these are for a B class motor. So the Hurricane as a model rocket is compatible with both B class and C class motors. So you saw the block rings earlier. We have a bunch of these block rings. So these are all extra. We've given separate smaller block rings for the B class motor housings as well. Then we have a bunch of extra centering rings that you saw earlier. And apart from that, we have these centering rings available as an extra again for the B class motor. So we've made sure that you have all the components as an extra for a C class motor, as well as all the components that you might need to fly a Hurricane with another B class motor as well. To know more about motor classification, check out other videos about motors and rocketry systems on our YouTube channel. I'll share a link down in the description. I've got this also as an extra. This is an extra fin. We've also given an extra igniter. Igniters are a single-use component, and at times there may be a misfire or there may be a misignition. Your igniter might get ignited, but the rocket may not launch, and that is why we've given you an extra so you can fly the very same evening. So now these were the extra components. First we showed you all the rocket components, then we showed you the extra components. Next up we come to this section, which is all the tools that you need to build your model rocket. So we've got a paper cutter, we've got a scissor, we've got a Fevikwik, we've got a roll of electric tape, and we've got a 80 grit sandpaper. So these are all the tools that you'll need to build your rocket. We've got a couple of things extra over here. As I told you earlier, we've got the lasso string. This string will help you do the lasso test or the stability test, which makes sure that your rocket is stable. So you can be sure that it will fly straight and give you the best launch experience. And apart from that, we also have a fin sheet. So this fin sheet helps you position your fins correctly, position your launch lug correctly onto the rocket. And we also have the packaging. So these are 4 plastic fins and this is the box. These fins can be fixed onto this box like this. In these on these 4 blue lines, there are white markers that are given where you can make cuts and fix these blue pins, and your rocket box would look like this. It becomes a nice souvenir for your bedroom. So I'll tell you how to fix them onto the box once we start the build. Finally, we have this. This is your instruction manual. This is a very, very important booklet. First and foremost, it tells you all the safety instructions that you need to follow. These safety instructions are very, very important. We recommend all rocketeers to take them absolutely seriously and follow them to the letter. Make sure that you stay safe and you enjoy rocketry and you do not hurt yourself or anyone around you. For young children, please do all of this under adult supervision. So first up, as I said, safety instructions. We will talk more about them in our how to launch a model rocket video. Next, we have the list of components that you will need to build your model rocket. And then the instructions start. And then the instructions continue over the next page and the next page. These instructions are clear to the letter. They will tell you how to build your Hurricane model rocket. Once you've completed building this instruction set is over. Now we did not want students to just throw away this instruction booklet because it's a lot of paper, and we thought that this might be also a very good souvenir. So what we've done is that we put up some nice origami design engineering into this, and we've converted it into a poster. So you can open it up and it opens like this and it becomes a poster. So as you can see, we've also put one in our office. We think that this is a very good addition to the rooms of Rocketeers and tells the world about your interest in rockets and rocket science. So this is the complete list of materials that's there in your kit. And now let's start building. So first up, what we're going to do is we're going to fix these blueprints onto the box and convert it into a nice little souvenir. So for that, I will take the paper cutter. I've already given you one in the kit. So I'm going to start by creating cuts on these white lines. Here we have ready our box which has all the fins fixed. And we can just put this one right here and we'll start building the Hurricane model rocket. I'm damn excited. I hope you are too. So the first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to put this sticker onto the body tube. So for that, first I will peel off the sticker. So I'm peeling off this sticker from the sticker sheet. I have put this sticker onto my mat and I put the sticky side on top. So you can see that when I put my fingers on, it sticks. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to align my body tube with this and very tightly roll it onto my body tube. I'm going to roll it onto my body tube very tightly. I'm going to make sure that there are no air gaps and it's perfectly aligned and there are no wrinkles, and it gets rolled onto the tube just like that. And here you have your Hurricane model rocket outer body. So I'm going to put this here. The next thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to take two of these block rings and I'm going to stick them together using Fevikwik. So we've given you one Fevikwik in the kit. I have another one. I'm going to be using this. So I will put 1, 2, 3, 4 drops of Fevikwik. I'm going to perfectly align. I'm going to make sure that they are perfectly on the same axis. Don't be worried if you get Fevikwik on your hands. DIY is a hands-on activity. You will get Fevikwik on your hands. You might get some paper cuts. It's a part of the process. It's a part of the fun. Even I have some Fevikwik on my hands. So over here, we have the two block rings that I've stuck together and they are perfectly aligned. Next, I'm going to be inserting these block rings into my motor housing like this. So as you can see, it's a fairly snug fit. I'm going to put it in and then I'm going to push them in approximately half a centimeter like this. So the exact way to measure this is that I can take my fuel cartridge, insert it in, and see, I make it flush with the motor housing. So this is the exact place that my fuel cartridge should be at. When it is over here, I can see my block rings over here. So this is the exact place where my block rings should be. I'm going to stick these block rings inside my motor housing, again using Fevikwik. So I'm going to apply Fevikwik along the circumference and I'm going to press it from the sides. Meanwhile, I've taken out my motor. So I'm going to press it along the sides. I'm going to put some Fevikwik along the circumference. So like this, I've stuck it into place. So I've stuck my block rings into place. This is the complete assembly of your motor housing. Next up, we are going to take the 4 centering rings. So I'm going to stick 2 together and 2 together. So they will become 2 rings like this. So I'm again going to be using Fevikwik. So 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops and 4 drops, and perfectly aligned. Again 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops and 4 drops of Fevikwik, and again perfectly aligned. So if you feel that they have not stuck together properly and they feel loose, you can just along the periphery in some places add a little bit more of Fevikwik. This will make sure that they are stuck in place and they stay together. These are already stuck in place and they stay together. So now I have 2 sets of rings like this. They are stuck together very nicely. Now these rings, they go on to the motor housing. So just as I told you that the purpose of the block ring is to block the fuel cartridge or the motor inside the rocket, the purpose of the centering ring is to make sure that the motor is perfectly aligned inside the rocket. So when you have the centering rings inserted onto the top of the motor housing like this, what that leads to is that your motor gets perfectly axially aligned. So your thrust is completely axial in nature. The motor stays in the center of the rocket, and that is why they are called centering rings or centering rings. So the purpose is to make sure that the fuel cartridge or the motor stays at the center of the rocket and at the same time is axially aligned. So now as you've seen, I fixed them at two different places. So the first place is along the edge of the motor housing. So it's along the edge of the motor housing on the empty side. And on the side where there is the block ring, I fixed it along the plane of the block rings themselves. So inside at this height exactly are your block rings as well. So this is the place where I have fixed them. So as you can see, the ones that I have, they are quite a snug fit. At times these rings may be loose. During those times you can fix some layers of electric tape to make your motor housing thicker and you can get the right size. Maybe we'll show you in some future rockets. We'll also be doing with this with the motor when we are inserting it into the rocket. So you can see it in the how do I fly my rocket video as well. I'll give a link in the description below. So now I've fixed out the positions of these centering rings. I'm again going to be using Fevikwik and I will fix these rings in place. So I'm going to be applying Fevikwik along the periphery on both, and I'm going to let it dry. So this completes the assembly for your motor housing. So next step that we have to do is that we have to insert this motor housing into your body tube. So I'm going to wait for it to dry for 5 minutes and then I'm going to get to the next step. Till then I'm going to wait. So now that was a quick little break for us as well. Now we go on to the next step where we have to insert this motor housing into the body tube. So as you can see, it says Hurricane on top. This is how the rocket is going to stand. So I'm going to be inserting the motor housing at the bottom. So I'm going to be inserting the motor housing at the bottom of the rocket. It will go inside like this. So the side on which there is the block ring. The block ring is over here. The block ring goes inside the body tube. So it will be like this. So I will insert it, the side of the block ring, into the body tube like this and like this. So this is how the bottom of your rocket will look like. So right now I have not stuck it in place. What I'll do is that I will take it out. Now I will be inserting this motor housing into this like this. So first what I will do is that I will apply some Fevikwik to this, to the centering ring on the outside. So the Fevikwik is applied on the outside periphery of the centering ring and then I will insert it in. And while I am holding it in place over here, I will again apply Fevikwik . So I can feel the centering ring over here. First I will press on that one and then I will press on this one. I can feel them both. So if I press the tube from somewhere else, I can feel it bend. Whereas if I am pressing it on the centering ring, I can feel the hardness of the centering ring getting held onto the body tube. So this is how the bottom of your Hurricane rocket will look like. As you can see, the block rings have gone inside. They are somewhere near here, near the upper centering ring, and then you have the lower centering ring over here, and this thing is stuck into place. Next step that we are going to do is one of the most interesting and fun steps. It really starts giving the shape to the rocket. So we are going to fix our fins, and for that we will be using the fin sheet. So as you can see on the fin sheet, we've marked the position of the 4 fins and we've created a lot of concentric circles. So this rocket body can be aligned with one of those circles. We can mark the position of the fins and then stick the fins onto the rocket. Let's get started. So I'm first going to align the rocket. Yeah. So I'm using this pen. We've given you one in the kit. You can use that. And I'm going to mark the position of the. So I've got the 4 positions now. So as you can see, I've marked the 4 positions of the fins. So I'm going to start sticking them. I'm going to be using Fevikwik again. So as you can see, this is perfectly aligned with the body tube. So it's perfectly axially aligned. You have to make sure that this happens. You cannot attach your fin. So if you attach your fin like this or like this, in your aerodynamic stability, it looks like this. So I'm going to now repeat this same step 3 more times and complete attaching my fins. Fin number 2 is done. I want to fin number 3. So you have to be very careful about the alignment of your fins. I was also about to make a mistake over here. I was corrected at the last moment. Fevikwik is fairly quick drying, so you have to be careful. Or rather, I have actually made a mistake. So as you can see over here, the corner and the edge is supposed to be on the same point. The corner and the edge is supposed to be on the same point. But in this fin, there is a misalignment. So that misalignment needs to be rectified. So for that, what I'll do is that I'll take my paper cutter and I'll slowly remove my fin without damaging either the fin or the body tube. So I have to be very careful. And I'm going to apply Fevikwik to my fin again. So I made sure that it's aligned now and it's in a proper place and it's fixed on properly. So see, in case you make an error while building your rocket, you can always repair it, you can always fix it. Just have patience, carefully, neatly remove your fin and put it back into the correct place. So now I've got 3 fins fixed. I'm going to put the 4th one. All done. So now while this dries up, I'll leave this over here and I would like to talk to you a little bit about what this rocket really means to me. For me, this is one of the most special rockets of Rocketeers. This has been inspired by R2-D2 from Star Wars. So if you try and look at the overall look of the rocket, it has similar markings as R2-D2. And I'm sure all the R2-D2 fans out there are going beep boop and all excited about flying this rocket. So I'm one of those people and I'm really looking forward to flying this and I hope you are too. So now that we've got to final stages of our build, we should complete the final steps. So the next step that we have is that all of you would have received a straw like this. This is the launch slug. I introduced it earlier. This is a very important component. This fixes your rocket to the launch pad and it makes sure that it stays aligned with the launch rod at the time of launch. So what you need to do is that you need to cut out 2 pieces from this launch slug, approximately 3 to 4 centimeters in size each. So I'll start. So I've got 2 pieces here. One of them is a little bigger than the other. This is not a problem. They can be approximately the same size. It doesn't matter. So now what I'll do is that I'll use the fin sheet that we've given. So if you remember this fin sheet, on this you can see over here the position of a launch slug. So I'll put my rocket onto this. I will align my fins. And I'll look at it from the top. So now my fins are aligned. Using this position, I will mark out the places where my launch slug needs to go. So the launch slug, the position this line is marked. One position is along the top of the fins and the second position is near the top of the rocket. So these are the 2 positions that I have for my launch slug. So I've marked them out. So I'm going to stick it using Fevikwik. So this is one of the more difficult parts of the build. Be very careful. You have to stick your launch slug very properly. It is imperative that it is done in a correct way. It is aligned along the axis of the rocket and they are aligned to each other as well. So let's start off. So as I said, this is the more difficult part of the build. Now what I've done is that I've fixed up too much Fevikwik on this, so I'll be using some sandpaper to create a rough edge. We've given you sandpaper, I have an extra. Tear out a small piece and remove this Fevikwik, remove this layer of Fevikwik from here. This also has the additional benefit of being able to roughen up the surface so that I can stick my launch slug properly. So I'll apply some Fevikwik again, this time to a rougher surface, and I will fix up the much more stable this time. I'll add some more Fevikwik from the sides. So like this, my first launch slug has been stuck into place. So now I'm going to get to my second one. So I need to make sure that it is aligned to the first one as well. So it has to be like this. It has to be like a perfectly aligned. You should be able to see one from the other. So now that I have this position, I will first apply some Fevikwik. Then I will fix it into place. So like this, I have fixed up my launch slugs into place as well, and as you can see, they're perfectly aligned and in the center of the fins. So you can see the V that the fins are forming and the singular hole that the launch slugs are forming. So this is a complete structure of your rocket. The only thing missing inside it is now the fuel cartridge. This is all stuck together, acts as a single piece, all of it. And finally, we put on the nose cone. The nose cone need not be stuck onto the rocket. You can just put it on, and that's how it's supposed to be. It stays as a separate component. It's not supposed to get stuck to the rocket. And with this, we have completed the build of Hurricane. Now all we have to do is launch it. So what we'll do is we'll insert our fuel cartridge, do a lasso test, put it onto the launch pad, set up the ignition system, insert the igniter, get a proper launch space, set everything up, stand at a safe distance, press the ignition button and launch. Oh my god, there's so much more to go, right? We're talking all about it in our video and on how to fly a model rocket. I'll give a link in the description below. Learn how to fly your Hurricane now that it's ready. And stay nuts about rockets.